just a few things that I've learned to set it up my motorcycle motorhome. Catch you inside.
RevelatorAlf.
Hi, welcome to RevelatorAlf. I hope you're all well in these testing times. So, a week in after getting the motorhome for motorcycle adventures and family getaways and all that kind of stuff, quite a few things that I've learned, and I thought I'd pass those on to anybody who wants to do that kind of thing. Obviously, there's a whole host of information out there from YouTubers and websites who specialise in motorhomes and van life type thing, but I'm kind of accessing this or coming at this from a motorcycle motorhome point of view, with the view to tow a motorcycle on the back. So a couple of things. First of all, if you're going to buy a motorhome or a camper van or whatever, you might have seen these contraptions. Actually, if you go back into one of my old videos, there is a bracket that you can actually bolt onto your tow bar, and then you can put the front wheel of your motorcycle into it. It's like a dolly. You put your front wheel of the motorcycle into it, and then you can tow your motorcycle behind your camper van or your motorhome. And basically the rear wheel is touching the road surface, and it's just freewheeling along. Now that's fine. I've used that myself on my car tow and a couple of bikes as well. But the problem is if you get a puncture, then you can't use that system anymore. You're kind of stranded, really. Also, if you have some kind of mechanical problem with the bike, in that the rear wheel won't freewheel, you're going to have the same kind of issue as well. They are really cumbersome as well to tow behind any large vehicle, so I would kind of stay away from the dolly that you would attach to the tow bar. I have been looking at it and it's not really great. So the other thing is that here in the UK, yes, you can have motorcycle racks that can go on the rear of a motorhome. However, they are very weight limited. You can only put up to about 125, 130 kilos, I think, and I think that's including the rack as well. So there isn't a lot of scope for maximum weight that you can carry on the back of a motorhome. Now I've got a 4 bicycle rack on mine, and I think really that's going to max it out once you put all the bicycles on there. So to have a motorcycle, even if it's a scooter, I think that's going to be too much. My tow bar, I saw there's a plate on there, and it actually says the maximum down weight is 65 kilos. So that's hardly anything at all. However, the towing capacity on my particular motorhome is 1800 kilos. So I can take a motorcycle on the back, or a couple, 2 or 3 motorcycles on the back with a trailer, no problem at all. So I think I was looking at a motorcycle carrying rack, but I think it's going to be a tow bar all the way. Okay, so we've gone away on a couple of test runs on the motorhome, and there are a few things that you need to do when you first get a camper van motorhome. You basically need to go through everything. You need to give it a deep clean, as I've already said, and just make sure that everything's working, all your gas fittings, your oven, your cooker, if you've got one, let's say. Take something in reserve as well. I've got a couple of gas plate cookers just in case we need to do some outdoor cooking. I think we certainly realize that you kind of cook indoors as a last resort. You want to kind of go outdoors as much as possible. And the same if you've got a toilet shower unit, again, you really want to use that as a last resort. You kind of want to go and use the surfaces at the campsite if you can. If they've got showers, do that, because you've got limited water supply as well in your water tanks, so you don't want to keep on filling that up. But also, if you're going to go to the toilet, yes, okay, in an emergency you could use it, and it's fine, it'll work, and maybe you could do number 1s in there, no problem, but nobody wants to do a number 2 and have to clean that out afterwards. So I would say use the campsite facilities for that kind of stuff. As I say, you kind of get this impression that you could use these, but really, I wouldn't want to use them in anger, but in an absolute emergency, possibly. Okay, so the other thing that we certainly learned the last couple of days as well is the maximum weight of the vehicle and how that relates to who can drive it and what speed you're allowed to do. So the unladen weight on my vehicle, I got a max gross weight on this of 4,000 kilos. It's one of the big end motorhomes, and I think the unladen weight is on the axle weight is over 3,000 kilos. Basically, it's over the limit for normal road speeds. Okay, so here in the UK, so in town, you can do 30 miles an hour, we can go up to 40 miles an hour, let's say. But as soon as you're on the open road, this vehicle can only do 50 miles an hour. On a dual carriageway, it can only do 60 miles an hour. And on the motorway, it can actually do 70 miles an hour, which is a bit odd. But there you go. So it really depends which vehicle you've got. You've got to check the weight of it and then how that relates to not only the maximum loading of it, but also the maximum speed you're allowed to go. And I'll talk about the loading of this, because if you suddenly start putting loads of gear in here, loads of people on here, loads of camping equipment or whatever, you're going away for a week or 2 weeks, you could easily, you know, overload this. I think I've got about 650 kilos payload to play with, so that includes people as well. So, you know, there isn't a great deal amount of weight that you can carry. Now, if you're taking a bike on the back, of course, then you're going to take extra equipment with you, you know, like helmets or tools or, you know, bike suits, leathers, whatever. Obviously, this is boots. This is all going to add up to the weight, and then it's all going to add up to, you know, the amount of space that you have available. So all these things have a knock-on effect as well, and these are the things I suddenly realized the last couple of days. This vehicle in itself is a 6-berth. Okay, so I got 2 over the cab, I can sleep 2 here, this converts into a bed, and in the back there the big U-shaped lounge also converts into a big bed. Great, you would think. But actually had myself, my partner and my teenager and our dog in here, and we were already cramped with just 3 of us. So I think if you're talking 6 of you, it really is literally just to come in and sleep. It's not really to move around and you know, function in one of these. I think so. You've got to be aware of that. Whilst it might sleep, you know, 6 people or 4 people, it gets cramped really quickly. So I would say, not that I'm an expert at all, but I would say your indoor living in the motorhome or camper van is really, you know, as a last resort, really. You're sleeping in here, you're probably just doing a few things, but most of it you're going to be outdoors, or you want to be outdoors as well. Okay. Now, the other thing which I wasn't fully aware of when I bought it, and the research that I'd done as well, is the power that's available. And this is going to be quite relevant to anybody who's carrying motorcycles as well. If you want to be charging stuff on the go, you might have to customize your electrical system on your motorhome to make that happen. Okay, so let's say once you're driving along, basically all the power to the back, I believe this is right, so if you're a motorhome owner, if you can clarify this, that'd be great, but all the power to the back is shut off. So none of the plugs work, none of the 12-volt outlets work. Certainly what I've got is pretty much a standard configuration here. However, the 12-volt outlets at the front in the cab, they do work. So if you want 12-volt charging, let's say, on the road, you're going to have to get a feed from your car battery or your vehicle battery to power everything out. So you're going to have a separate 12-volt supply coming through the back. The power to the leisure battery and also to the mains battery, obviously you're not going to have that as you're driving along, that is all shut off. I think it's a safety issue, and I think it's one of those safety things, but basically nothing will work as you're driving along. The only thing that will work, you can, on my fridge, I can actually switch it to a 12-volt supply, and I think that will charge it or power it as I'm driving along as well, just to keep things ticking over. But that's about it. I don't think anything else works. So if I'm wrong there, let us know. But that's something to bear in mind if you're carrying motorcycle stuff or you need to charge stuff, whatever. You might have to set up a separate 12-volt supply in the back just for motorcycle use or electrical charging use on the go. Okay, so here's the other thing. If you're wanting to go off, you know, with your motorcycle on the motorhome, go trail riding, that kind of thing. Let's say you've booked a caravan campsite somewhere and then you want to go off to the next place and you haven't really booked anywhere. So there's a few apps that you can look at. So we've already joined 2 clubs, as it were. It's the Caravan and Motorhome Club, and also the Camping and Caravan Club. They've both got apps, so you can basically go on the app and search by map, and it will show where you are and the nearest big campsites or the very small campsites, which you can just go and put your head down, basically. So those which you can have there as well. There's another one called Search for Sites, and there's another one, Park for Night. So there's that. I think there's another one called Camper Contact as well. So if you're into this and you're in UK, I think these might work in Europe as well. So it's obviously the 2 club apps, the Camping and Caravanning Club one, which also includes motorhomes and camper vans and that kind of thing, and there's also the Caravan and Motorhome Club, again, which all includes camper vans and that kind of stuff as well. But all the rest, they're really useful and really helpful. So let's say if you're, got your bike on the back and say you want to go trail riding or green laning or stuff like that, or you're at a motocross event, something like that, and you just want to extend your little few days off, whatever, just go onto these apps. You'll find the nearest campsite wherever you want to get to. Let's say you want to head to the beach after you're riding, go there. Then this will tell you whether there's any space available, and also you'll be able to book on these sites as well, which is really good. Okay, so I suppose the last thing, the last few days that I've been looking at is the electrical charging on the motorhome here, and also how that relates to anything else that I want to charge, either for photography, videos, making videos, or anything to do with motorcycles as well. So what I've got is got the leisure battery right in the middle of the motorhome, and basically on this motorhome, the Swift Sundance, the 630L, which is quite an old one, 2006, if you've got it hooked up to shore power, hookup power, let's say you're on a campsite or from home, to actually charge the leisure battery, there's a switch on the control panel up there. You actually have to flick it down to the leisure battery, and it charges up. Otherwise, it's not charging up. So I actually put a multimeter across the battery, and it works. So I think that some people I've heard will say, no, you have to put it on shore power for it to charge. It doesn't charge like that. It has to be on leisure power. Also, what I found is that this vehicle, I thought one of the AC outlets, the plug outlets, would be like on an inverter as well, but there isn't. So I'm debating whether to fit an inverter or not. The reality is I'm not maybe going to use it that much. What I might do is just have the inverter. I might have it as a separate 2 systems. So I'm going to basically have 2 12-volt systems, one being powered by the front of the cab and one being powered by shore power. Basically, I'm going to have a split cigar lighter setup. So I'm going to have it under the seat at the back, and basically I'm going to have either a separate leisure battery, which I've got there, and then I'm going to have the AC outlet from an inverter hooked up to that leisure battery, or hooked up to the installed leisure battery there. So I'll have either 12 volts from the cab or from the vehicle battery, or 12 volts from the leisure battery all set up as well, and it'll be out of the way, underway. It'll be accessible from the outdoors as well, so I can work on the bike, I can do charge power tools, that kind of stuff, if I have to work on the bike or do anything, and it'll all be done there, out of sight, out of mind. So I think that's something to bear in mind. Again, whether you got your leisure battery, how it's being charged, does it have an inverter coming off it? Mine doesn't. Am I going to hook it up to the leisure battery, or am I just going to bring another spare leisure battery as well? Bear in mind, you could also get power packs as well, like the Jackery, like the Power Oak as well, £400 or £500, something like that, and they're really good and they last a long time. So there's things that you can do. If you watch my video about my pickup truck when I had the water pump set up outdoors, I'm going to do something similar to that as well. Basically, I'm going to have a water pump put at the back there with a hose, so I can suck water out of a water barrel, let's say, and then I can power it via a 12 volt, and then I can spray down the bikes, or spray down myself as well, or anybody else as well, and that'll all be done outside. So this is stuff that I'm going to be working on, and hopefully I'll be able to show you that in a few weeks time as well. But say there's lots of stuff that you come across and you don't really know if it's going to work or not, if it's going to work out for you. So I think you need to just find little solutions. So get onto YouTube and find out all these motorhome, camping and caravan type of YouTube channels. They're really good. Some of them are really good, really helpful, of course. But again, if you want something motorcycle specific, it isn't there. So I'm already finding things that if I want to take motorcycles with me, you really have to find other solutions for it as well. Anyway, look, I hope you found that useful. As I say, it's been a bit of a steep learning curve. So we're going to go away tomorrow night as well, another test run on a few things. But you know, it's about using it practically, and how much space you have and how much weight you have and how you're going to charge things and how you're going to power things on the move. And if you get to somewhere and you haven't got any electrical hookup, what are you going to do as well? So you would think that they're all geared up for it, and they might be, but it really depends which one you've got and what amount of power that you're going to demand when you get somewhere as well. So if you've got a teenage son like me, then it's constantly on electrical devices, so you're going to be drawing a lot of power. You don't really want to be using your toilet, your bathroom, all that much, as minimal as possible. You really want to use the campsite services as much as possible, so that you just minimize whatever you have to do later as well. But apart from that, I think we're all pretty much good to go now. It's just going to be getting a few bits and bobs. I'll leave a list of all the stuff that I've got so far in the description below, like drain cleaners and toilet cleaners and all this kind of stuff, and all these extra electrical devices which I've bought, but they're simple stuff, you know, simple, you can get anywhere, eBay, Amazonia, whatever. But I'll leave those in the description for you as well. It basically extra USB outlets from cigar lighters, cigar lighter splitters, that kind of stuff. That's what I've already got. But I say I'll be making other videos in time about how to wash down bikes with a motorhome and all that kind of stuff as well. Right, anyway, with that, I'm going to go and have a cup of tea. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell, like and share, check out the website RevelatorAlf.com, and I'll catch you again on a bike next time. Ta-da.